Welcome back, everyone. I just finished watching Dragon Ball GT episode 17 for the first time, and to my shock and surprise, I think I'm kind of invested in this show. I like half partially invested at least. Like I'm definitely after this episode, I'm interested, to see where it's going. There's no other way around it. I am invested, which, I've had my complaints about this arc so much. Uh, it's definitely not an arc I'll be, revisiting or remembering super fondly. It doesn't hold a candle to any of the arcs in classic Dragon Ball or even Dragon Ball Z, but weirdly enough, I'm finding myself interested in what's going to happen next. At least after this episode. I think I need to acknowledge that, I am putting this series at a bit of a disadvantage because normally I would just binge watch stuff like this. And with this show, instead of just binging through the episodes, I have to watch one, then take a break to record this, and then go back to the next episode, which on the one hand, if it was a really, really good show, then it would build anticipation and stuff and help prolong the sort of excitement. But with this show, I don't know. I feel like it more of a... There are some things which benefit from just being binged through, and there are other things which can benefit from taking a break in between the episodes to not just ram right through it, you know what I mean? But regardless, here's basically the events of this episode. So Goku and Trunks were captured last episode, and so Pan goes into the facility where they're being held in order to try and bust them out, and she discovered these the robots, they scan Goku and Trunks, and Goku has a power level that's off the charts. Surprise, surprise, I know. And so they're oh man, we cannot combat this. And so Gil is I have all their data recorded in my memory, just study that. And so they do. And meanwhile, Pan, she goes and finds out there's these rejected robots, and they tell her where Goku and Trunks are being held. And she goes to rescue them, and takes down one of the cool elite robots surprisingly easily. But the cliffhanger, the episode ends on a cliffhanger of Goku, Pan, and Trunks are gonna fight these robots, and that's what's gonna happen. But yeah, basically, some stuff I found interesting was that basically this planet used to have a population, and Dr. Mu murdered them all. He's basically creating all of these robot mutants in order to populate the universe, which I found interesting. Just because we found Gil just discarded in a random desert, and so I'm wondering if Dr. Mu's goal is literally to just build as many mutant robots as realistically possible in order to populate and saturate the entire universe with them, which would be a bizarrely weird villain plan, but an interesting one nonetheless, or at least a goal of his. It also explains why the planet looks so sort of abandoned and post-apocalyptic, because it did have a population which have now been destroyed, which makes me wonder if he actually just killed them off, or if he took a lot of them hostage in order to mutate them into his robots. Let's see here. I guess that's all I have to say. Again, it's weird because when they get into with this storyline, the more episodic stuff, I just I'm yeah, whatever, I don't like it. But when they try and do these more these bigger parts where they get more into the serialized storyline, that's where I become more interested in what's happening. And so I'm wondering, after this Black Star Dragon Ball arc wraps up, I am wondering if I'm going to become much more invested in the show, because I hear it becomes a lot more like Dragon Ball Z, which normally when it comes to Dragon Ball, I you guys know, if you watch the series, that I prefer Dragon Ball over Dragon Ball Z. But that I do still like Dragon Ball Z. I enjoy Dragon Ball Z, but I don't enjoy it as much as the original Dragon Ball. And so I'm wondering if playing into more of a Dragon Ball Z style will suit these writers much better. Because like when they do more bigger stuff like this, where it feels a bit more actiony, the episodes lead into one another a lot more. I'm wondering if that'll be something more, if that'll be easier for them to carry on with, you know what I mean? Like earlier in the series I mentioned, hopefully they'll find their footing eventually, because they're clearly going for a like a sort of classical Dragon Ball vibe, but it's mixed a lot with like darker, more serious Z-like elements, and it sort of has a bit of an identity crisis going on. And so it's like whenever they lean more into like the more dramatic, epic side of things, at least from what I've seen, it does get a lot better. So hopefully they lean into that a bit more going forward, and hopefully it's good. Hopefully I enjoy it. But yeah, so this was basically, here's what I'm thinking. I feel like, I don't know, I am starting to wonder if we're beginning to get into the end game of the story. You know what I mean? Like, because logically, we're nowhere close to the story ending, because we only have 3 Dragon Balls located. But what I'm wondering is, like, Dr. Mu could always just show up next episode and be like, yeah, I got the rest of the Dragon Balls, let's summon the dragon, whatever, you know what I mean? And that would be the end of the story. But, because, like, as I've said, I've seen reviews and stuff of Dragon Ball GT, and, like, I feel like I've heard something about like this being like this like stuff where Pan is the one who busts them out and stuff, and she's sneaking around by herself. This seems vaguely familiar as like an end of story thing, but at the same time it feels like I have no idea how they're gonna make this, turn this into the climax of the story, because they just don't have the other Dragon Balls, you know what I mean? Like, the story arc can't end unless they get all 7 Dragon Balls in order to fix what's going to happen to Earth. But, yeah, so hopefully, here's what I'm hoping for. I just want some good action in the next episode, you know what I mean? Oh, something I did want to mention, because they mentioned that Goku's power level is, like, off the charts. This indicates to me that even if he's not as powerful as he was at the end of Dragon Ball Z, he's still exponentially strong. You know what I mean? Like, strong enough to like it's the sort of thing where I'm like, okay, time to stop underestimating Goku because he's stuck as a kid. Like, you know what I mean? Just treat him like Goku. Which does make it like, which is something weird that I just remembered, like weird stuff like not being able to do instant transmission indicates that he's a lot weaker, but at the same time they still want him to be super ridiculously strong by having his power level be off the charts. And so, you know, I don't know what to say, folks. I don't know what to say. I just want some good action in the next episode. Hopefully the arc wraps up soon, because every time they do something a bit more interesting like this, where it's like, you know, a series of episodes that I can get somewhat invested in, they seem to like wrap it up and then go back to an episodic episode that's not very good and like start the whole thing over again. And so it's like back in the Lude arc, I mentioned that I hoped they kept the momentum going. And they sort of did and didn't at the same time, because they had that interlude episode with Pan running away, which wasn't very good. So hopefully, even though I am invested, I want things to wrap up. You know what I mean? I'm not even starting to feel the burnout of this arc. I'm feeling burnt out of this arc, and I want to move on to something else. But I am invested. I'm just invested in a way to where I'm like, okay, let's move this along. But yeah, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to check out the other episodes. I'm watching through every episode of Dragon Ball GT for the very first time and giving my thoughts on every episode, so be sure to check those out, and be sure to stay tuned for the rest. Have a nice day, and thanks for watching.